stand for the pledge, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This evening, Monday, November 2nd, we have a public hearing on the City Hall lease, so we will do that first. A motion to open the public hearing.
Moved.
Moved by Daryl, is there a second? Second by Jamie, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here from the public to speak on behalf of the City Hall lease? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll take a motion to close the public hearing on the City Hall lease.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Kevin, second by Jamie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, today is Monday, November 2nd, 2020, the time being 7 p.m. The meeting of the Greensburg City Council is called to order at this time. Please silence all electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that's available on the table in the back of the room. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Jamie Cain.
Here.
Brian McKenzie. Here. Kevin Fleetwood.
Here.
Rick Emsgaller.
Here.
Daryl Poley.
Here.
There were minutes given to you with a correction. You have reviewed those. Is there a motion to approve those minutes as amended?
So moved.
Moved by Rick. Is there a second? Second by Jamie. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There being no old business, we will move to new business. Chief Brendan Bridges, Ordinance 2020-26 for additional appropriation for the Lexipol system. Good evening.
Good evening. For the additional appropriation, that is where I came to the city council a couple months ago, asking for this additional appropriation, which would be $15,000 from the public safety for the startup for Lexipol.
This is the
This is for the policy,
program.
new policy, yes.
Any questions for the chief?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made to approve by Daryl. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Kevin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, resolutions 2020-30, transfer of funds.
I'm asking that our fuel budget is once again doing very well, so I'm asking for a transfer of funds of $20,000 from gasoline to the overtime budget, and then I'm asking for $5,000 of the gasoline to go towards other service and charges. With those moves, especially for the $5,000 go into other service and charges, that should actually allow me to pay for the upgrade from WatchGuard and equipment without having to go into public safety like I thought and ask for $15,000. So by moving that money, we'll be able to take care of all that cost through this year's budget. And then as far as overtime, like I said, that's just a hit or miss on what's going on. And one of the reasons for the overtime this year is a couple officers, actually being 3 officers down, but those other officers were on FTO, so we really don't have those bodies. So we had to cover that, and then we are seeing a large amount of officers attending court here recently, so it all adds up. So, but that's why I'm asking for those transfer funds.
Make a motion to approve 2020-30, or resolution 2020-30.
Second.
Motion's been made by Jamie, seconded by Vieta. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Stoermer. Again, transfer of funds.
I'll need a resolution number.
Chief, you actually don't have to have a resolution because you're within your 100 series.
Okay.
So you can just wait for the board to get their permission for moving it, but you don't have to have a resolution.
All right, so I'm requesting permission to move $600 from 133, which is the IOSHA Physicals Fund. We have done our physicals for this year, and that money is left over. I don't foresee us utilizing any fit-for-duty physicals until the end of the year, as well as the 134, which is breathing test. There's $2,000. Since COVID, the state has suspended all type of breathing tests for fire emergency service personnel due to the airborne nature of that. I'm asking that $2,600 be moved to the overtime budget because our overtime has taken a huge hit this year, being having 5 retirements, 2 resignations, and then dealing with 3 individuals that have had COVID and or out on COVID time because of responding to the sick and injured. They had to quarantine for a certain amount of time, so we have expended our overtime budget. I have also utilized our Honda overtime budget as well, so this is on top of even that. So I'm trying to make sure that we don't receive a deficit and spread those 2 overtime budgets out and utilize those as best as possible.
Any questions for Chief Stoermer?
Do you need a motion, or do you want to just motion of support, or we?
Motion of support would be great.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made to support the procedures by Jamie, second by Darrell. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Chief Stoermer also had an article published today on a national basis about mental health and wellness in the firehouse. I encourage you all to look it up. Jamie has a copy of it if you would like. He also has an 8x10 photo of the chief.
It's black and white, but I mean, it's
in
a
there.
nice photo.
I encourage you to take a look at that.
Very
And,
wonderful.
it is also Chief Stoermer's birthday, so he is fortunate enough to spend that with us.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Thank you.
And,
Okay.
okay, budgetary cuts. Sarah Hamer, Building Commissioner, is unavailable to join us this evening due to some unforeseen circumstances. We do have 2 things that both of us have sort of been working on. 2020-27 is a replacement of 2006-32. Visited the Greensburg Historical Preservation Group. I've been attending their meetings this year and watching them and how we can maybe improve our business community downtown. I would entertain some questions on a higher level of the ordinance. I haven't read it, but it's been a minute. Or if not, we'll take a motion to approve that to help us facilitate business growth and development in the downtown region. The gist of it is it does remove the Historical Preservation Committee and invests that power with the building commissioner. It does leave the guidelines that were established in 2006 in place, so she would still be required to follow those inside the historic district. But she could work with the business owners one-on-one instead of having to wait on monthly meetings and find them a solution to help with that. It also does establish, which does not currently exist, an appeals process. So if somebody disagrees with her opinion, she can come before the planning commission, which technically Wood is the president of at the moment. So there is an appeals process as well. The guidelines are established, the guidelines, if they were to be updated or modified, are established by the building commissioner and approved by the planning commission. So that's the gist. No questions? Now take a motion to approve 2020-27.
So moved.
Moved by Jamie, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vieta. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion has been made to suspend the rules on first reading,
Second.
seconded by Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Make
Okay.
a motion we pass 2020-27 on the second reading.
Motion's been made by Jamie, seconded by Darrell for second reading of 2020-07, or I'm sorry, 2020-27. Any further comments? If not, a motion, or all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you very much. 2020-28 is amended ordinance 2002-4's Exhibit A. This is the subdivision control ordinance. With our project that's ongoing in the RDC, we would like to have the ability to move lines around inside property that the city is either owns or is intending to purchase. This would allow us to expedite the survey process, but it would not necessarily dismantle our subdivision control ordinance so that we were subdividing into lots, or if a developer was doing that, the process hasn't changed. It really is just a municipal component. We've reviewed it with Councilor Stephen, and he has approved of the language. It's a very minor change, but will help us with that project and probably others going forward. Any questions on 2020-28? If not, we take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Darrell, seconded by Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we would like to proceed with that too on a second reading, so
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
motion's been made to suspend the rules by Jamie, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vieta. All those in favor of suspending the rules, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, on second reading, 2020-28. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Vieta, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Kevin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Up next, we have resolution 2020-27. This is approve of the TIF bonds. Our attorney who's been helping us with this, Rick Hall from Marsh is here with us this evening. Good evening, Rick. If you would like to give us an update, they do have a copy of what the REC passed, but maybe you could just explain a little bit about where we are.
Sure, thank you. So, Resolution 2027 and Resolution 2029 go together, and they both relate to the redevelopment commission's establishment of a residential tax increment finance area, and then the financing of the acquisition of property in the area. So, a couple years ago, the legislature recognized that while the general rule was that you don't capture TIF from residential development, that there was a need in many communities for additional housing, and that need could be filled, enhanced by having a tax increment finance area that included residential development. So the redevelopment commission has identified an area near the intersection of State Road 3 and the interstate there in the south west corner that is primed for residential development. And they've removed that area from, it's already in an existing TIF area, so it's not as if additional land is being added to that from which TIF is going to be captured. It's just designating this portion as specifically for residential housing. So the redevelopment commission has adopted a plan and created this residential TIF area. The plan commission has also approved that, and now as part of the normal process for the establishment of a TIF area, it's before the council, and that's what resolution 2029 does. It's the council's approval of establishment of that residential TIF area. Then resolution 2027 authorizes the redevelopment commission to borrow money to finance the acquisition of real estate or other improvements that serve or benefit that new residential area. So by statute, before the redevelopment commission can issue that, the council also has to approve it. So you see in section 1 of that resolution 2027, it provides the council's approval to the issuance of bonds by the redevelopment commission within certain parameters, which include that the principal amount would not exceed $2 million, it wouldn't mature later than January 15th, 2038, wouldn't have an interest rate more than 4%, and then it could have interest capitalized and would be subject to prepayment as could be negotiated with the purchaser. So these fit together as a comprehensive plan for the development of that area of the city as a residential housing area. This is a common occurrence across the state. As I'm sure your financial advisor, Reedy, could attest to, also we're seeing more and more communities focused on this, understanding that the long-term viability of the community depends not only on commercial development, but also having attractive housing that makes people want to live in the community. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hall? If not, we take a motion to approve resolution 2020-27, approval to allow the TIF district or redevelopment commission to do it.
So moved.
Moved by Darrell, is there a second?
Second.
Second by by Vieta. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, and then 2020-29, amendment to the economic development area. Is there a motion to approve?
Well, what's that amendment?
It was what we talked about at the plan commission to just sort of change we had to establish new boundaries of the housing TIF area. Correct, right?
That's right. It's already within the existing TIF area. This is just saying this portion of your existing TIF area is going to be dedicated for residential housing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Motion's been made by Kevin, second.
Second.
Seconded by Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, 2029 passed. Up next, 2028, which is the petition and execution of the City Hall Lease.
This relates to the financing of the City Hall improvements. This is back before you for a second time as required by statute. The City Council earlier approved a formal lease between the Building Corporation and the city to provide for the financing of the City Hall project. The Building Corporation would issue bonds and then it would use those proceeds to apply to the project costs of the City Hall renovation. That project would be administered like any other construction project in the city, in that claims would be processed as they normally are for the city, so the Building Corporation doesn't have to be involved in that process. But what they do is they actually will own the City Hall and lease it to the city. The city then will make lease rental payments under the lease, and the Building Corporation will pay its debt with those lease payments. So as I said earlier, this lease was preliminarily approved by the council. After that preliminary approval, it was required to publish notice of a public hearing, which was done, and you held that public hearing at the start of this meeting. This resolution then provides the final approval of the lease and related matters to facilitate the financing. Also by statute, in order to enter into the lease, the city has to receive a petition from at least 50 taxpayers requesting that the city enter into the lease and complete this project. The city has received that petition from over 50 taxpayers, and the auditor has verified that all those that are signing the petition are indeed taxpayers. So this resolution also accepts that petition. The Building Corporation has approved the lease and the financing, so this would be the final public approval to go forward with this project.
Any question for Mr. Hall on 2028?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made by Darrell. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Vieta. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? 2028. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Thank you. Couple things, Council, do we have any claims presented? No claims. Okay. Councilman Cain, you want to give us an update on the Board of Works?
Sorry, we approved the wellness policy for the fire department and the police department tonight. We also made approval for the Washington Township fire contract for 2020 and 2021. We approved road closures on December 5th for holiday walk parade. That basically is going to start down, come around the square, go around down Broadway, down to First Street, into the hospital. We lost my place here. We approved an upgrade to the phone systems. We also approved a payout for a retirement for the fire department. Mark Foster Camper Cain, we approved the purchase of a 2017 garbage truck. Brenda Cain, we approved basically a software contract for her department that's an annual fee. Don Electric Cain, we actually approved the removal, asset disposal of some old equipment that's not being used anymore. Jeff Smith came and asked for just a lot of money on the gas creek payout, on a release of retention. Basically, there was, I mean, it was a lot of money. That's just basically sanitary sewer replacement and then a change order number 2. So, Jeff, you're here. Yeah, I made a motion, we just not put him on the agenda if it's what he's been asked for. And the mayor at the end basically came back, we talked about approval of road closures for Veterans Day Parade. We approved purchase this year for the, for a Ford Edge, for the, basically the engineering department, and then next year, a vehicle for the mayor's department. And basically we approved a contract for some temporary construction over at Washington School, basically to assist with the move, to make the space more adaptable for what we're going to use over there. We approved a contract with Maddox's for moving expenses to assist with the move for the, basically the City Hall remodel. And then we also approved conditionally upon the approval of that for some storage pods to be used and stored out here in the parking lot during the construction phase. I think that's it. Oh, and then there's a special meeting of the Board of Works on 11/23 at 5 p.m. where we're going to actually open the bids for the City Hall remodel project.
And we have sent, I think we've sent out our request for bids to 10 or 15 contractors, so hopefully we'll have a good representation on that. We'll see, we have a pre-construction meeting that is this Thursday, where they will be here to walk through the building and look at everything, and take all the photos and notes that they need. So we will have that meeting again, 5 p.m. 11/23. We encourage you all to attend. Of course, the Board of Works is the one who issues the contract, but because it is bonded, we need your approval to issue the bond in order to enter into the contract. So I encourage you to attend, of course, so we can answer questions about it as well. We have been hosting early voting here in City Hall. That was concluded today at noon. We had record-breaking turnouts, and people were excited to have it somewhere that was more accessible than the courthouse. We were excited to have that. Over 5,200 people came through City Hall over the last month to cast their votes for the 2020 election. Election day is tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Please, Chief Bridges, you want to give us the quick update that you gave to the Board of Works about the department and the good things that have happened over the last month with you, please?
Good evening. Dr. Cain asked me to speak on the autism center that we were awarded a couple weeks ago. With that accreditation, like I said, all officers had to participate in extra training. It is for a designated autism center, but it also deals with any individual with an intellectual disability. So officers, like I said, went through the extra training for that. We have kits in our cars. That way, if we come upon an individual that is having an episode, there are certain ways that we could possibly calm them down. Officers do have those tools in their patrol vehicles. So again, good award. I appreciate the guys putting their time into it and their effort to assisting me with us getting that designation in that. And then about 3 weeks ago, Sergeant Brandon Meyer was awarded an award through the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute, where he was one of the top officers for getting OWI DUIs off the road. So the city's very fortunate to have Sergeant Meyer and his efforts on, again, combating those persons that decide to operate while intoxicated. So.
Your department is the first and only police department in the country with the autism designation.
From what I've been told, yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. We also had covered the cruiser over the weekend, lots of money raised for Special Olympics, so thank you to that too. We do have David Starkey, Gary Smith, and of course Rick Paul, who you heard from. First two, Greedy Financial. Rick is from Marsh. If you have any questions about the ongoing projects, they'll be here afterwards. If not, they're ready to go. Everyone, motion to adjourn if nothing else.
So moved.
Moved by Jamie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, thank you everyone.